Good afternoon, Mr. Vice President and Senators. This afternoon, I want to focus for a few minutes, on Psalm 23, the Old Testament lesson for the fourth Sunday in Lent. This is a well-loved psalm. It's probably the most quoted of all the psalms. For many, this is a go-to psalm for trials, testings. For others, it is a celebration psalm that focuses on the goodness of the Lord. This psalm was written by a mature King David as a faith declaration. As a man who had overcome many things, it talked about his intimate relationship with God. His faith sustained him through an assassination attempts, many by his arch rival, King Saul. Civil war from his beloved son Absalom, who tried to seize the country. Being homeless and going from place to place, seeking safety and lodging. To becoming a crowned king over a divided nation, winning many wars and slaying a war champion, and a multitude of blessings. Now, the celebrated king writes these words: "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." In essence, the king is saying, God is my leader, I don't have to worry about anything. As senators and leaders, when you reflect on this season and juncture of your life, do you have a faith declaration? Do you stop to count your many blessings? Do you remember where you have journeyed from? And do you give thanks for your present place and the trajectory that is before you? In this Lenten season, do you express gratitude to your Maker, or do you take credit or assign it to some other being or entity? Deuteronomy 8:17, part of verse 18 says this: "Beware, lest you say in your heart, my power and the might of my hand have gotten me this wealth. You shall remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you the power to get wealth or blessings." Never forget that all we have, all we are, and all we will become is because a loving God gave you a beginning. Secondly, David allows God to be his leader. The king was sometimes, the king was supposed to be a person or referred to as the shepherd of the nation. And the role of a shepherd was to care for, lead, protect, and ensure the well-being of his flock. And for many, that is the role that people assign to the leaders of nations. Psalms 23:2 states, "He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters." God was faithful to David no matter the season of his life. As we say in the Bahamas, rain blow or sunshine. This is the challenge to each of you and to all you lead. It is the need to serve to the best of your ability and your being. I want you to be mindful of four things. First, to lead your followers and those who depend upon you in pleasant places so that they will not be anxious or worry about anything. Secondly, to serve so that your example will be an inspiration to others and it will be a blessing and they will want to emulate. Third, to lead in such a way as to build unity and cohesion and collaboration everywhere you go. And fourthly, to provide an environment where dreams, visions are cultivated and others are encouraged to aim for the stars and to accomplish all that they can. Is it easy to lead and be a shepherd to people? I want to say the answer is no. But it's your assigned task for this season. And so I pray that you will ask God each day to help you to lead wisely and to be a blessing. To remember that there will be times of challenge and difficulty, but if God is your shepherd, he will help you. And to stay on the right path. And if you wear off, get back on the path. And the fourth thing is this: cultivate your faith and leadership acumen so that God can continue to use you in many ways to be a blessing to our nation. I close with this passage from Isaiah 41:3. For I, the Lord your God, hold your right hand. It is I who say to you, fear not. I am the one who helps you. Let's pray. Dear Lord, we give you thanks for this Lenten season, a time to reflect and a time to refocus and to reset our lives. May you guide and lead each senator as they navigate and lead others. May they allow you to be the shepherd of their lives. Empower them to continue to be servant leaders who recognize that you have granted them the favor and the opportunity to serve our nation at this season. I pray that their path will be a path filled with wisdom, that they will enact positive laws and policies that will be a blessing for this nation, not only in this time, but in the years to come. Grant them wisdom, the spirit of collaboration, discernment, and may they never fail to recognize their purpose and why you have appointed them to serve in this season. Bless, preserve, and lead them, and watch over their families. In the precious name of Jesus we pray. The Lord's Prayer. Our Father, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Good afternoon, Senators. Welcome to our Senate session the afternoon of Tuesday, 17th of March, 2026. Madam Chaplain, thank you as always for your very insightful and thought-provoking devotions. Adoption of the minutes.
Mr. Vice President, I move that the minutes of the session of the Senate held on Monday, the 16th of March, 2026, be adopted.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the minutes of the meeting held on the 16th of March, 2026 be adopted as laid. As many are in favor say aye. Aye. Those who oppose say nay. The ayes have it. The minutes of the 16th of March, 2026 are adopted. Motions for leave of absence, leave to resign. Swearing in of new senators. Honorable Senators, I have here the instrument of appointment for Miss Nicole Martin from Her Excellency the Governor General. Whereas Article 39(1) of the Constitution provides that the Senate shall consist of 16 members who shall be appointed by the Governor General by instrument under the public seal in accordance with the provisions of this article. And whereas Article 39(3) of the Constitution provides that 4 senators shall be appointed by the Governor General acting in accordance with the advice of the Leader of the Opposition. And whereas Article 39(5) of the Constitution further provides that whenever any person vacates his seat as a senator for any reason other than a dissolution of Parliament, the Governor General shall, as soon as practicable, appoint a person to fill the vacancy under the same provisions of the article as those under which the person whose seat has become vacant was appointed. Now, therefore, in exercise of the powers vested in me, as hereinbefore recited, and of all other powers thereunto me enabling, I do hereby appoint you, Miss Nicole Michelle Martin, to be Senator with effect from the 9th day of February, 2026. Signed, Governor General. The Chair now invites Ms. Nicole Martin to the bar of the Senate, where the oath of allegiance and oath of qualification will be administered to her.
I, Nicole Michelle Martin, do swear that I have knowledge of any cause or impediment why I am not capable of sitting and voting as a member of the Senate of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, according to the tenor and true meaning of the Constitution or any enactment amending the same. So help me God. I, Nicole Michelle Martin, do swear that I will faithfully and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God.
Please take your seat, Senator Martin. Communication by the President. On behalf of Madam President Lachelle Adderley, myself, and the entire Senate, we would like to welcome Senator Nicole Martin to our chambers as the newly appointed and sworn-in opposition senator. We know and trust that she will faithfully represent the people of the Bahamas. Senators are invited to bring congratulatory remarks during their contributions today or at the closing of Senate. I would also like to welcome some persons who are in our gallery today. We have some very esteemed guests joining us today. First, we have guests from the Creative and Performing Arts School of the Bahamas, and I would like to welcome them each. Firstly, we have Mr. Ian Poitier, who is the acting chairman of the school. He is Many may be familiar with his face. He's also a senior policy advisor to the Prime Minister of the Bahamas. I also have here on this list Mr. Hartman Longley, head of operations. Stephanie Nihon, head of production. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Megan Minus, head of marketing and corporate partnerships, who is unable to join today. Mr. Ashley Knowles, who is head of academic quality and student services. And Macumbla Smith, tutor in the Junkanoo Arts, who was unable to join today. Thank you very much to the leadership team at Campus for joining us today. We are happy to have you here. We trust that the debate will be fruitful and not too out of the way for your presence today. In the gallery, we also have representatives from the Orange Economy Unit at the Ministry of Economic Affairs. I would like to especially welcome Ms. Angelique McKay. She is the director of the Orange Economy Unit in the ministry and has carriage of the International Junkanoo Desk. She is known both locally and internationally as the Junkanoo Goddess. She participates in Junkanoo both Christmas and New Year's every year with Genesis as a she-hawk and is here to support the Junkanoo Authority Bill. She is accompanied by two members of her team from the Orange Economy Unit, Miss Franciana Nesbitt, who is a member of the Shell Saxon Superstars, and Miss LaShawn and Miss LaShawn Wells, who is a Cat Island woman, and her heart belongs to Rake and Scrape. So we have the creative and performing arts in our country fully represented here today. So welcome you all to be part of our gallery as we debate some very monumental bills in the history of our country. Thank you for being here. Messages from the Governor General. Messages from the House of Assembly. Laying of documents by ministers. Communications by ministers. Communications by senators. Questions. Answers to questions. Presentations of petitions. Appointment of select committees. Reports of select committees. First reading of bills. Second reading and committal of bills. The chair recognizes Senator the Honorable Michael Halkitis.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President. Mr. Vice President, I want to join you as I begin by welcoming our newest senator, Senator Nicole Martin, to these chambers. We all know Senator Martin as a trade unionist for many years, and later as a, I should say, political aspirant standard bearer. I understand now as an attorney, and we know, I'm sure many of us, her very, very able representation of the hotel union and its workers as they sought adequate and better working conditions and pay. And we are certain that she will bring that same tenacity and conviction to these chambers. You are entering in the fourth quarter, so to speak, but I am sure that your contributions will be valued and substantial. I also want to join you, Mr. Vice President, in welcoming the top brass from CAPAS, the Creative and Performing Arts School of the Bahamas, Mr. Poitier, who so passionately pursued the creation of this performing arts school, and I just want to, at the outset, congratulate him for all of the work that he has done in bringing us to this point, and as well, equally tenacious and passionate, the Orange Economy Unit of the Ministry of Economic Affairs, led by the Queen Mother herself, Angelique McKay. Again, very, very passionate about our culture and what it can do, not only in terms of economic impact, but indeed in terms of uplifting our people and reinforcing our sense of identity. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice President, many times when we think about resources and natural resources or national resources, we think about things like oil and gas and perhaps gold and timber. But in reality, one of the most precious and valuable natural resources any country can have is its people. And coming out of its people, Mr. Vice President, its culture. And so what we are debating here today are two bills that seek to undergird, reinforce our culture, put in place some institutions that will protect and promote our culture, and in doing so, recognize and facilitate the fact that culture is an economic asset. And it is, in many countries, a very, very valuable export commodity, if I might use that term. And so we have two bills that we are debating here today, the Creative and Performing Arts School of the Bahamas Bill and the National Junkanoo Authority of the Bahamas Bill, both intended to bring structure and to support our culture, and in doing so, enable our people and our artisans, our cultural ambassadors, so to speak, to be able to monetize, and monetize is not a bad word in this context, our culture. And so I will say a few words, Mr. Vice President, on the Creative and Performing Arts School of the Bahamas, and then I will say a few words, just a few words, on the Junkanoo Authority of the Bahamas bill. The purpose of the CAPAS legislation, Mr. Vice President, is to formally establish the Creative and Performing Arts School of the Bahamas as a national tertiary institution and statutory body. The legislation will provide a clear governance framework, legal identity, and long-term institutional stability for CAPAS. I'm going to be saying CAPAS all day. It's the Creative and Performing Arts School of the Bahamas. It creates that institutional stability for CAPAS as a center for professional training in the creative and performing arts. As I said, the concept, I'm sure, in the minds of Mr. Portier and his associates and those who work with this, on this with him, the concept began many years ago, but classes began in September 2026. I recall we had it must have been maybe 3 years ago, we had an official launch where the concept was presented to the Bahamian people, and there was a very, very aggressive timeline to get it done. And I must tell you that Mr. Portier was very aggressive in making sure those timelines are met. And we get to this point where we're talking about legislation and putting in the formal structure, because that is what undergirds the institution and it just ensures its sustainability. And so they began classes in September 2025 and was formally opened in January 2026. And so the legislation now before us consolidates the institutional framework required to sustain the school's long-term development. The bill places CAPAS within the national, educational, and cultural infrastructure of the Bahamas, alongside institutions such as the University of the Bahamas, BTVI, and the University of the Bahamas and BTVI and others, while maintaining a specialized focus on the creative industries. The bill provides for governance through a board that defines the role of the chief executive and the president and establishes the institutional mandate of CAPAS. The goal is to ensure that the school can operate effectively as a national center of excellence in the performing arts, in the performing and creative arts, while supporting broader economic development objectives. The legislation also enables CAPAS to form partnerships with international institutions, recruit global faculty and practitioners, and deliver accredited programs aligned with international standards in performing arts education. Mr. Chairman, the Bahamas possesses a rich and diverse cultural heritage, a heritage shaped by African, European, and Caribbean influences and others. Imagine there's some Asian in there. Cultural expression through music, dance, theater, storytelling, and visual arts is central to the Bahamian identity. However, for decades, there has been limited domestic infrastructure to train Bahamians professionally in these disciplines. CAPAS addresses this gap by creating a tertiary level conservatory dedicated to training performers, creatives, and technical specialists for careers in the global creative economy. Because, Mr. Chairman, training is important, and I am hopeful that a part of that training is the business of culture, because that is extremely important. The way our culture is presented, the way we are, everything is online and streaming, and the way we present our culture to the world to ensure maximum exposure. It's a science to that, and I am hopeful and I am certain that a part of the curriculum would be the business aspect of it, how to ensure maximum exposure, so to speak. And along with that, we have institutions within this region that helps us to support that. I think of the Caribbean Export Development Association, for example, and the work that they do in supporting creatives in getting their product to the market. This initiative also fulfills a key government policy objective, Mr. Chairman, and that is strengthening the orange economy and expanding opportunities for Bahamians in cultural and creative industries. And so by building human capital in areas such as acting, music production, filmmaking, stage production, and design, CAPAS supports economic diversification and innovation. And so we have our tourism industry, we have our financial services industry. Here is an opportunity with this institution to, through its training and its support and its development of our creatives, to really establish another pillar of our economy. Because internationally, the creative industries represents one of the fastest growing sectors of the global economy. And by investing in specialized training and creative infrastructure, the Bahamas will position itself to participate more effectively in this sector. Now, the school, Mr. Vice President, I'm advised, will offer programs across 3 major categories. Performance disciplines, including acting, singing, dance, and musical theater. And I understand there was, what do you call it, auditions, and applications, and people from all ages went out, some who had a hidden talent, I guess, or who were aspirants. Or
I was too old.
you were too old?
Yeah, they got me.
I'm sure they have a master class. So performance discipline is acting. So there's performance, offer programs in performance. So if you're an actor or aspiring actor, singer, dancer, musical theater, creative disciplines, including writing, directing, filmmaking, and storytelling, and technical and production disciplines, including lighting, costumes, editing, sound, set design, stage management, and production management. And you see, within this school, just these disciplines, you can imagine as this sector grows, all of the opportunities. If you can't make it on the stage, then there might be something for you in lighting and design and editing and audiovisual, writing, directing. Many of us may do well at storytelling. But as you can see, with all of those disciplines, there's so much opportunity. There's so much opportunity. And so the training structures includes foundation courses, full-time degree programs, and short professional courses. So I imagine if you just want to do something for a few weeks or, just for self-improvement, you can go and take up a short course. And the curriculum is a curriculum that is designed in partnership with international practitioners and industry leaders to ensure that the training reflects global standards and emerging creative technologies, which is extremely important. I talked about streaming and how we get our product out onto the market. And that's so critically important, because you can be as talented as the best. But when we're talking about making an industry, we need to make sure that we are able to get to the market. And so CAPAS is intended to serve as a catalyst for the development of a dynamic creative economy in the Bahamas. The creative industries generate significant economic value globally through film, television, music, digital media, live performance, and cultural tourism. And I'll go back again, and I'm sure some senators will speak about it, when we talk about some of our filmmakers and some of our actors who have gone onto the global stage and are excelling. And all they needed was an opportunity. Of course, the school will contribute directly to tourism development as we are able to put on more local productions for our consumption and the consumption of our guests. The school, Mr. Vice President, emphasizes accessibility and opportunity for Bahamian students. In keeping with the national policy of supporting tertiary education, the government has committed that Bahamian students admitted to campus will receive scholarship support. It's designed to begin relatively small to ensure intensive training and high standards, and I'm advised that approximately 100 full-time students are expected in the initial years of operation, with additional part-time courses, workshops, master classes offered to the wider community in the master class.
That's all for me. That's all. That's all.
We are here, Mr. Vice President, because all of this is good, sounds nice, there's a lot of potential, but we have to have governance to ensure that the school operates at a high standard of governance and transparency, et cetera, and to build a foundation. And as you establish your governance culture, that also impacts the level of the amount and the quality of the partnerships that you are able to enter into with, other institutions from around the world. They want to see that you have a properly structured, properly governed institution. And so the legislation establishes CAPUS as a statutory institution governed by a board responsible for strategic oversight, financial stewardship, and institutional policy. The board will work along, of course, with the president and senior management responsible for academic delivery, operation, partnerships, and production activities. The governance structure ensures accountability, transparency, and professional management while enabling the institution to operate with the flexibility required for a creative conservatory environment. And so what that means is, I think that's a polite way to say it'll stand on its own. It won't be government run. As they stand on their own, they are much more agile than they might be within a government structure, which is fine. And so by establishing CAPUS through legislation, we are ensuring that the institution has the legal authority, governance stability, and institutional credibility necessary to operate successfully over the long term, and I'm talking about locally and internationally. And so this legislation, Mr. Vice President, represents a strategic investment in the future of the Bahamas. By establishing a national institution dedicated to creative and performing arts training, we are supporting the development of new industries, expanding opportunities for Bahamian talent, and strengthening the country's cultural identity. And with that, Mr. Vice President, I'll move on to say just a few words on the National Junkanoo Authority of the Bahamas Bill. Mr. Chairman, for many years, Bahamians gave of their time, their money, their creativity, and their personal comfort to ensure that Junkanoo survived and grew. As Junkanoo grew in scale and complexity, the demands placed on volunteers increased, often without corresponding systems, authority, or protection, or finances. You often hear stories about those serious Junkanooers. I'm looking at you, Senator Ellis, who speak about the amount of money it takes to get on bay, and they do it for love of the culture. And so Junkanoo has grown, Mr. Chairman, and today Junkanoo intersects with public finance, tourism development, broadcasting rights, intellectual property, youth engagement, education, and international cultural representation. And so before, while we were just locally and had our guests come and we had the parade on Bay Street, now we have all of these elements. It involves thousands of participants. It attracts significant public investment through seed money and other investment, and carries the reputation of the Bahamas far beyond our shores. And yet, Mr. Vice President, despite this evolution, the systems supporting Junkanoo remain largely temporary and seasonal, rebuilt each year, dismantled each year, strained each year, and rebuilt the next year. And this was not sustainable. And so we have the National Junkanoo Authority Bill as a direct response to that reality. It establishes a permanent statutory authority to govern, regulate, manage, promote, and develop Junkanoo as both a national cultural heritage and a viable cultural industry. And an authority was chosen much in the same way as we talked about CAPAS, setting it up on as a statutory body. Again, much the same with Junkanoo. An authority is chosen precisely because it balances independence with accountability. So it's independent of the central government structure, but through the governance requirements in the legislation, there's still accountability because their public finances support the authority. It allows government to step back from daily operations while ensuring that public funds are managed transparently, decisions are consistent, and long-term planning replaces annual crisis management. And given the increasingly difficult and costly realities impacting the growth of the parade, it was time to take this action. And so, Mr. Vice President, at the heart of this bill, this National Junkanoo Authority Bill, is a simple but critical principle. Independence, yes, but it must be supported by accountability. The National Junkanoo Authority is deliberately structured to separate policy direction, governance oversight, and day-to-day operation. The role of the minister is policy. The role of the board is governance, and the role of management is action and execution. And so, the minister will not run Junkanoo. The bill provides for financial oversight, audited accounts, parliamentary reporting, procurement standards, and conflict of interest declaration. And this transparency, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice President, is not in any way intended to stifle the creative juices, so to speak, but indeed to allow them to flow freely. The bill recognizes that Junkanoo cannot be confined to 2 days on the calendar. It provides for research and preservation, education and training, commercialization, intellectual property protection, youth development, family island empowerment, and international collaboration. Under this framework, young Bahamians can see Junkanoo not only as a celebration, but also as a pathway to skills development, income generation, and creative careers rooted in their culture. Additionally, Family Island Junkanoo can be strengthened, resourced, and promoted with parity and respect. And Bahamian creativity can be protected from exploitation and positioned on the global stage confidently. In the contents of this discussion of creative expression, we must also remember the systems that develop creativity. Talent alone cannot sustain a creative economy. And that is why our conversation does not end with governance. It continues with the development of the next generation of Bahamian creators. And that is how we link the both things that we're doing today, Mr. Chairman. We have the Junkanoo Authority Bill that provides a governance structure for Junkanoo. We have the Creative and Performing Arts School of the Bahamas that contributes to training, and we're hoping that they can, at some point, intersect, work together to really train and produce that next generation of Bahamian creatives. And through the provisions for financing, governance, reporting, they can grow both of them from strength to strength and truly increase the impact that they have on our economy and by extension on the benefit of our people. And so, Mr. Chairman, with those few words, I move for a second reading and committal of a bill for an act to provide for the establishment, governance, and administration of the Creative and Performing Arts School of the Bahamas and for connected purposes.
Is there a seconder? The chair recognizes Senator the Honorable Jayan Major.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Our greatest resource is not only what lies beneath our soil or surrounds our shores, it is the talent of our people, the richness of our culture. And I rise today in full support of two bills that, taken together, represent something deeply important for our country. They represent a recognition that when we invest in the creativity of our young people, we are investing in the future voice, vision, and cultural power of our nation. And they affirm that culture is not merely entertainment. Culture is identity, culture is heritage, and culture is opportunity. I'd like to take this moment to welcome our newest senator, Madam Martin. You join an incredible group of women in this Senate. We ain't easy, but no, you join an incredible group of women. And this Senate, the men are all right too. But it's Women's Month. So we ain't talking about them. But I welcome you, and I certainly look forward to your contributions in this honorable place. Mr. Vice President, for generations, the cultural expressions of the Bahamian people have told our story. They've carried our traditions forward. They've allowed us to celebrate who we are as Bahamian people. And today we are taking steps to protect those traditions, strengthen the institutions that support them, and ensure that the next generation of Bahamians can build careers, livelihoods, and futures in the creative industries. Mr. Vice President, as someone whose life has always been shaped by the love of music, culture, and artistic expression in some way or another, these bills are personal. I consider myself somewhat of a creative. I grew up singing in choirs, performing on stages from as young as 8 years old, and even now I find the most joy when I'm around music or I get to be creative. Those experiences Those experiences, Mr. Vice President, built confidence, they instilled discipline, and they created a sense of belonging and purpose. And those are the very same experiences that the Creative and Performing Arts School of the Bahamas seeks to create for the next generation of Bahamians. Because let us be clear, talent is everywhere in the Bahamas, but opportunity must be created. And this bill does just that. The CAPAS bill establishes a national institution dedicated to the professional training and development of Bahamian talent in music, dance, theater, and the visual arts. For far too long, many of our young people with extraordinary creative gifts have had to look beyond our shores for the training that could transform their passion and their gifts into a profession. This bill says to them, you no longer have to leave home to pursue excellence. Mr. Vice President, just last week, I had the opportunity to watch the amazingly talented students from CAPAS perform in Rawson Square. And what I saw was nothing short of inspiring. I saw raw talent. I saw passion. I saw the confidence and the commitment of these young people. But most importantly, I saw the potential. I saw what is possible for young people when they're given the space, the support, and the platform to express themselves. That moment reinforced for me why the CAPAS bill is so important. Because if that level of raw, unfiltered talent exists already, Mr. Vice President, imagine what can happen when it is supported by a national institution, structured training, and sustained investment. And I'd like to take this opportunity to commend Mr. Poitier for the excellent work he is doing with these young people in the Bahamas. Mr. Vice President, the creative industries are no longer viewed globally as simply hobbies or extracurricular pursuits. For me, that's what it was, but that's no longer the case. Around the world, countries are investing heavily in the creative economy, recognizing that the arts generate jobs, they stimulate tourism, and they contribute significantly to national development. So this here is about opportunity, creating opportunities for the next Sidney Poitier, the next Courtney Fox, the next Theodore Eliot. This is about telling a young Bahamian with a gift for music or dance or performance that their country believes in them enough to invest in their potential. Through campus, we will create a structured academic and professional training pathway for Bahamian students pursuing careers in the arts, while also reinforcing the importance of preserving our culture through formal education and institutional support. Because if we do not make a deliberate investment in our cultural heritage, we risk allowing the forces of globalization to dilute or even erase the traditions that make us uniquely Bahamian. Mr. Vice President, that being said, it brings me to the second piece of legislation before us today. The National Junkanoo Authority of the Bahamas, Willis, George Bethel, and William Wallace Bill of 2026. Is it 26? 25, sorry. Mr. Vice President, this bill speaks to something even deeper. It speaks to the very soul of who we are as a people, because Junkanoo is the heartbeat of Bahamian culture. And Mr. Vice President, for me, this is also deeply personal. My roots are in the heart of the valley.
Oh, boy, I tell you.
And I'm going to ignore everybody else who's
Yeah, boy.
anti-valley at the moment.
Which one?
But some of my most treasured memories with my father growing up are tied to Junkanoo and his love for his beloved Valley boys. In the now almost 25 years since his passing, my love for Junkanoo has changed. Not swayed, but it's just gotten a little bit different, because I'd rather hold on to those memories that I had with my father enjoying Junkanoo as a young girl growing up. For Bahamians, Junkanoo is woven into the very fabric of what it means to be a Bahamian. Across this country, there are generations of Bahamians whose lives have been shaped by Junkanoo. The artists, the musicians, the dancers, the costume builders, the individuals who have poured their time, their energy, and their passion into sustaining this cultural treasure. Mr. Vice President, culture does not survive by accident. It survives when we choose to protect it. And that is why this bill is important. The establishment of the National Junkanoo Authority creates a structured framework to ensure that Junkanoo is not only preserved, but strengthened, supported, and positioned for the future. It ensures that Junkanoo remains as a cultural tradition, but it's also developed as a sustainable major pillar of our cultural tourism product and the creative economy. Most importantly, Mr. Vice President, it ensures that the people who carry this tradition forward are given the recognition and the support they deserve. The naming of this authority in honor of Willis George Bethel and William Wallace is both fitting and powerful, because the legacy of Junkanoo has been built on the shoulders of individuals who dedicated their lives, their time, to preserving and elevating this tradition. Mr. Vice President, these two bills reflect a broader and very deliberate commitment by this administration, and that commitment is simple: a commitment to investing in culture, in our young people, and recognizing that nation building requires cultural investment. Over the past several years, this administration has demonstrated that commitment in tangible ways through investments in education, youth development, sports. We've also supported cultural initiatives and community programs. We've created opportunities for young Bahamians to showcase and develop their talents. And today, through these two bills, we are affirming that investment in our culture and the creative arts. Mr. Vice President, a confident nation invests not only in roads and buildings, but also in its identity, its creativity, and the talent of its people. And that is exactly what we are doing. We are preserving our heritage by ensuring that Junkanoo, our most iconic cultural celebration, will have the institutional support needed to thrive for decades to come. We are creating pathways for young Bahamians with talent and passion for the arts to thrive, and we are sending a clear message to the next generation. Your talent matters. Your culture matters. And your country is prepared to invest in your future. Mr. Vice President, with these bills, we are preserving the legacy of those who came before us while creating opportunities for those who will come after us. We are protecting our traditions while also recognizing the economic potential of the creative industries. For these reasons, Mr. Vice President, I wholeheartedly support the Creative and Performing Arts School of the Bahamas Bill and the National Junkanoo Authority of the Bahamas Bill, and I commend them to this honorable chamber. May God continue to guide our Prime Minister. May he continue to grant us wisdom in our decisions, unity in our purpose, and may he continue to bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
As many.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The chair recognizes Senator the Honorable Darren. It has been moved and seconded that the following bill be read and committed a second time. A bill for an act to provide for the establishment, governance, and administration of the Creative and Performing Arts School of the Bahamas and for connected purposes. As many.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy.
Senator Henfield.
Mr. Vice Chairman, I'm sorry. I rise for two reasons in this place today. Firstly, to assure our friends in the gallery from CAPAS and the Junkanoo Committee, the goddess herself, who asked which group I supported, and I answered and said, you know, I'm an island boy. I didn't really grow up in Junkanoo, but when I moved to Nassau to join the Defense Force, I lived in Grantstown, and predominantly in Grantstown you found Saxons, right? I see a Saxon hound over there, right? the one Saxon, right? And I used to watch my Uncle Tommy, who I live with my Uncle Kirk, who's like an adopted brother, Kirk Smith, an adopted brother to my father. And I used to watch Tommy every year lose sleep and just toiling over these costumes. And I said, what incredible devotion that people could just put all of this blood, sweat, and tears and monies into such a fine art and culture that we have in the Bahamas. And I also know that when you hear the beat of that goatskin drum, a beat which I'm told by historians traveled from Africa with us. You feel it in your belly, and you must pulsate with the rhythm of the Junkanoo sound. And we all love it. It matters not where we grew up in the Bahamas. It is our heritage. We love it and we enjoy it. I'll leave the rest of Junkanoo to my colleague, Senator Michael Barnett Ellis, who is a true aficionado, who truly participates. I saw some pictures of her earlier, and I found them incredible. The costumes that they pace and the way they operate. And I also really want to say to the leadership of CAPAS to congratulate you on what you're doing. It is interesting that on Sunday night I watched as Michael B. Jordan became only the 6th black male to be honored with the Best Actor, the Academy Award. And we take such pride in Sidney Poitier, who must be a relative of yours, who was the first. I think the movie was Lilies of the Field, was it? I watch that movie often. It is a classic. And the way he interacts with the nuns and what have you, it's just wonderful to watch. I believe that in the Bahamas, bar none, we are by far per capita the most talented country in the world. I believe that. I also believe that if Nigeria could have exports of movies to the tune of millions or billions, we can also do similarly in the Bahamas. At one point, we had some movies shot here when I was a boy, The Day of the Dolphin. Everybody knows about the James Bond movies. And I dated myself. I see you smiling there. With George C. Scott, you know. That was shot around Albuquerque. I was a boy parking in the grocery stores, and we always used to run to get their tips because they tip nicely, right? And so we too, and then the Pirates of the Caribbean, we remember a lot of those were shot, at least one of them I know, was shot in Grand Bahama. And we have to give credit to the late Minister Obi Wilscombe for his work in this arena. May he rest in peace. To cost the Bahamas and other ministers of tourism, to cost Paul Wallace, to cost the Bahamas to be recognized. And I always wondered why we couldn't have our own film, like, you know, when they come to recognize movies, good movies like Cannes and the rest of them. I mean, we got a better climate, right? Right? You have one? I mean, so let's work on that campus. Let's make it big. Let's make it huge, and let's find a way to bring children from all across this country into your institution, because talent, in my understanding, does not appreciate your socialization or where you were born and how you grew up. So Sydney would never become the best black actor in the world if that was the case, right? And so we must go across this country. We must find the talent wherever it exists, and we must nurture that talent to cause us to be recognized not only as world champions in athletics, as we are in all of the professional genres, but also in theater. I dabble, Senator. You sing. I dabble with the box guitar a little. I know I do. I have my box guitar, but I can't read the notes. I play by ear, right? So you learn to hold a couple of chords and you put them together and you hammer out a song. I got to sign up, man. But what I really want to do today is to welcome Senator, the Honorable Nicole Martin, to these chambers, a colleague and a friend who join us today. And we're delighted to have us a part of our caucus here. And I'd like to, with your permission, Mr. Deputy, Mr. Vice, just look at some notes that were issued upon her appointment. Senator Martin is a change maker who enters this hall with an impressive record of public service. She made history in 2009 as the first woman and the youngest person elected president of the Bahamas Hotel Catering and Allied Workers Union, the largest union in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. During her tenure, she helped lead the charge for critical legislative reforms to the Industrial Relations and Employment Act. And she was part of the team that advanced the legal recognition of trade unions and the protection of collective bargaining rights. In recognition of her contribution to the labor movement, Senator Martin was awarded the British Empire Medal, the BEM, by Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth II in 2019. She's also a Justice of the Peace and a committed educator, having served as part-time lecturer at the Labor College of the National Congress of Trade Unions and a regional workshop facilitator. Senator Martin is also a second-year law student at the UJ and Depute Law School and holds an associate degree in law and criminal justice, as well as a Bachelor of Laws degree, LLB, with honors from the University of the Bahamas. If you can get honors from UWI, from the University of the Bahamas, you are saying something. That's my alma mater. Anybody else in here from UB? We should be doing this thing in here now, right? We got the best university in the region. Her voice in the Senate will reflect the everyday struggles and aspirations of working Bahamians. She understands what it means to advocate, to listen, and to lead. And so it's my privilege as leader of the opposition business in this place on behalf of our colleagues to welcome you to this august body. This is the upper house sometimes we carry on as if we are in the lower house. But we have a camaraderie, and you heard that in the welcome by Senator Jayan when she said, you know, you women are the boss in this place, right? Yeah, I said it from my chest. Because my wife might be listening, right? You women are the boss, and you add so much to what we do in governance. Welcome to this place. Speak your truth deliberately, honestly, and that what we say in here is ensure that what we say and do while operating in these places, we can live with on the outside. And with those few words, you're welcome. Thank you, and I rest.
As many? The chair recognizes Senator the Honorable Diasante Benabi Small.
Good afternoon, Mr. Vice President. Before I begin my formal contribution, I would like to take a moment to recognize the work already being done to bring this vision to life. I commend the Ministry of Economic Affairs, particularly the Orange Economy Unit, for their forward-thinking leadership in positioning creativity as a driver of national development. I also acknowledge the leadership of CAPAS under the chairman, Ian Poitier, as they continue to shape what this institution can and will become. And if I may offer special recognition to my fellow sorority sister of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and though she certainly does not look it, she's also my former guidance counselor from some years ago, I won't share our age, Queen Mother, Angelique McKay, Director of the Orange Economy Unit. Your guidance has truly come full circle in this moment, and it's great to share this moment with you. Collectively, their work reminds us that this is not just policy, it is people, it is purpose, and it is progress in motion. Mr. Vice President, I also take this opportunity to welcome the newest member of this honorable chamber, Senator Nicole Martin. I must admit, with her arrival, I'm grateful to no longer be the baby of the Senate, and I wish you well, and I encourage her, as we all must, to continue representing the voices and interests of the Bahamian people in our contributions. Welcome. So, Mr. Vice President, I rise today to contribute to the debate on two bills that speak not only to governance, but to identity, legacy, and possibility. The Creative and Performing Arts School of the Bahamas Bill and the National Junkanoo Authority of the Bahamas Willis George Bethel and William Wallace Bill. Taken together, these bills represent something powerful. They say that culture is not an afterthought. They say that creativity is not optional. They say that the arts, our traditions, our expression are central to who we are as a nation and who we are becoming. For too long, many of our artists, musicians, junkanooers, designers, and creatives have carried this country forward with passion, but without enough structure. They created excellence without support. They built beauty without systems. They gave us pride, often without security. Too often, they have had to choose between passion and stability, between creativity and career. These bills begin to change just that. And they do so through three powerful ideas: the power of innovation and cultural expression, the power of organization and protection of our culture, and the power of creativity and economic opportunity. Mr. Vice President, first is power of innovation and cultural expression. A nation is not built by infrastructure alone, not roads, not just ports and airports, but it's built by story, by sound, by movement, by what its people create. The CAPAS bill makes a bold and necessary statement that creative talent belongs in national development, not on the margins, not as an afterthought, but at the center. This bill creates a national institution dedicated to the creative and performing arts, where Bahamians can study, train, and grow in structured, meaningful ways. It creates pathways for the singer, even if that's my colleagues in there, the dancer, the musician, the producer, the costume designer, the filmmaker, the stage manager, the creative entrepreneur like myself, and Mr. Vice President, that matters. Because talent should not have to survive on chance. There are young people across this country who think differently, create differently, express themselves differently, and for too long, They have not always seen a clear path forward. Kappas begins to create that path. And Mr. Vice President, I want to pause here because this is deeply personal for me. It was truly an honor to serve as the creative director of our 50th Independence celebrations. In that role, I had the privilege of sitting at the table with some of the greatest creative Bahamian minds, not the greatest only in the Bahamas, but what I believe is the greatest in the world. And what became clear to me in those moments is this: Bahamian talent belongs in every room. Bahamian creativity stands on any stage. Bahamian excellence does not need to shrink to fit anywhere. But we have often lacked is truly not talent. It is structure, it is systems, it is sustainable support. We have the brilliance, but not always the frameworks to match it. And that is what these bills address. Now, Mr. Vice President, when we turn to the Junkanoo Authority Bill, we see cultural expression in its most powerful form. Junkanoo is not just a parade. It is rhythm. It is history. It is discipline. It is innovation, and for me, and for many, it is community. It is one of the greatest examples of Bahamian excellence and resilience. Think about what happens every Boxing Day and New Year's Day, Junior Junkanoo. We see the costume design, music composition, engineering, choreography, production, logistics, and for quite a moment, even as we shout and support different groups, Bahamian unity, all happening at once, created by Bahamians, driven by passion. This bill says, let us now give that excellence structure. Let us govern it properly, let it support it properly, and let us grow it even better. Mr. Vice President, second, the power of organization and protection of our culture. If something matters, it must be structured. If something is valuable, it must be protected. Culture does not sustain itself automatically. It must be taught, it must be supported, it must be passed on intentionally. The Kappas Bill provides governance, a board, leadership, accountability, financial oversight, because real institutions are not built on passion alone, they are built on structure. And the Junkanoo Authority Bill does just the same. It moves Junkanoo from our informal coordination to a national framework. It establishes a governing authority, a network of committees, family island representation, because Junkanoo is not limited to New Providence, clear rules and standards, financial systems and oversight. This is about continuity, stability, and ensuring that what we love most is not lost, diluted, or mismanaged. It is also about ensuring that the knowledge, the techniques, the stories behind Junkanoo are not only experienced, but supported and strengthened for generations to come. And finally, Mr. Vice President, thirdly, the power of creativity and economic opportunity. This is where these bills truly transform the conversation, because culture is not only about pride, it should be about economic possibility. And Mr. Vice President, this is too personal for me, because before social media and marketing became the career choices that they are today, I was pursuing ideas and spaces that were still evolving. I remember people telling me about my crazy big ideas without clear lanes, and I know what it feels like to wonder, will these ideas grow here, or will they be limited here? Will they be supported, or will they be seen as too ambitious? What I see today is a Bahamas that is evolving, a Bahamas that is not shrinking dreams, but growing into them, a Bahamas that is beginning to build the structures to support the creativity that has always existed here. And Mr. Vice President, this is progress. The Kappas Bill supports training, innovation, entrepreneurship, career pathways. The Junkanoo Authority Bill supports funding, commercialization, marketing, business development. This means that culture is no longer just expression, it's industry and opportunity. It's actually a pathway to economic advancement. Mr. Vice President, there are many Bahamians who have given their lives to culture. They have built, created, taught, sacrificed, and many of them are represented in here today. Sometimes without recognition, many times without enough of it. We owe them more than applause. We owe them systems, support, and the opportunity for those coming behind them to be more and to do more. Because for too long, there's been a mindset that if you are creative, you must struggle. That if you love culture, you must sacrifice financially. That mindset must change. A country cannot celebrate culture and neglect the people who create it. A country cannot market culture and underinvest in it. These bills begin to correct just that. And it is important that we do so in a way that reminds every Bahamian deeply, and it remains with us deeply, Because this is not about becoming somebody else. It is about becoming more fully ourselves. It is about investing in the genius that already exists. I think of the child beating a drum on a table and not yet knowing that that rhythm may be destiny. I think of the young girl dancing in a school program and not yet knowing that there may now be a real pathway for her gift. I think of the young man sketching costume ideas in the margins of a notebook and not yet knowing design, production, and cultural enterprise can become a life. I think of the student who loves music, theater, film, or movement, but has quietly fared disappointing others because society taught them that art is risky and culture does not pay. To them, this moment matters. To the family wondering whether creative child has a future, this moment matters. To the junkanua who has poured years into the craft, this moment truly matters. To the cultural worker who has too often had to prove the value of their labor, this moment matters. This moment says to you that the nation sees you. It sees your discipline, your contribution, and your value. And it is beginning through law to build around just that. Now, Mr. Vice President, legislation alone will not do everything. Implementation will matter most. Resourcing will matter. Leadership will matter. Transparency and fairness will truly matter. The strength of these institutions will matter on how inclusive they truly are, how much they protect our cultural authenticity while creating modern opportunity. It is also important that our work does not end when the bills are passed. In many ways, the real work has just begun. We must ensure that campus becomes a place of excellence, access, and innovation. We must ensure that the Junkanoo Authority becomes a model of sound governance, not confusion. We must ensure that family island inclusion is real, not symbolic. We must ensure that young people from different backgrounds can access these opportunities. We must ensure that commercialization never, ever erases community. And we must ensure that preservation never becomes stagnation. We must ensure that tradition and innovation are allowed to be met with wisdom. And if we do that, Mr. Vice President, then these bills can help shape an era where culture is better taught, better protected, better funded, and better respected, and better connected to national development. And let us do all of this in a way that advances us and ensures that we truly become ourselves. As I close, I take into account of the work that we have done, the moments that we share through laughter, in the moments of junkanoo and creativity, and as we come together as a community. Because I really want to ensure that our young people hear us loud and clear today. And I say to them, it's okay to dream again. Dream again if you love music, if you love junkanoo, if you love creativity in any form. Dream beyond what you were told was practical. Dream beyond the limits that once existed, because now there is a path for you. There is progress. A path where you can be a part of major productions, where you can help shape and advance your country's culture, and where your creativity can become your career. And let us build a Bahamas where you are not a starving artist, you are not just a cultural volunteer, but you are a behemoth with talent, with opportunity, economic advancement, and endless possibilities. Mr. Vice President, this is progress, and I am proud to support these bills.
As many The chair recognizes Senator the Honorable Michaela Barnett Ellis.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Before I turn to the matters before the Chamber today, I want to join my colleagues in welcoming CAFAS to the Chamber. For the most part, we've been behaved, and the team from the Orange Economy Unit. I also would like to take a moment to welcome our newly sworn-in Senate colleague, Senator the Honorable Nicole Martin, to the Senate. Senator Martin joins this side of the chamber, bringing with her a background rooted in advocacy, community leadership, and service. She's a proud resident of Nassau Village, a community that is home to hardworking families, resilience, and a deep sense of community pride. when she received her letters of appointment at Government House, Nassau Village, was definitely in the house. Senator Martin has long been a strong voice in the labor movement, having served as president of the Bahamas Hotel, Catering, and Allied Workers Union, where she advocated on behalf of workers in one of the most vital sectors of our economy. She's no stranger to stepping forward to represent her community and to giving voice to those whose concerns do not always receive the attention they deserve in the national conversation. And in that regard, Mr. Vice President, the Senate will benefit from hearing directly from someone who lives and works among the communities that are so often find themselves discussed in this chamber, but not always adequately represented. Mr. Vice President, Senator Martin's time in this chamber may be brief, but I have every confidence that it will be memorable. We welcome her to this side of the Senate and look forward to the perspective and experience that she will bring to deliberations in this chamber. Welcome, Senator the Honorable. Mr. Vice President, these two bills before us today speak to culture, creativity, and the future of arts in the Bahamas. The Creative and Performing Arts School of the Bahamas bill represents an investment in education, training, and nurturing of artistic talent. The bill proposes the establishment of a national institution dedicated to tertiary level education and technical training in the creative, performing, and production arts. It seeks to develop career paths, foster entrepreneurship in the creative economy, and promote Bahamian cultural expression nationally and internationally. Those are very important goals. For many artists in this country have struggled with the lack of formal training pathways, institutional support, and structured opportunities within creative industries. A national institution dedicated to developing artistic talent could help strengthen the cultural and creative sectors of our community, of our country. So, Mr. Vice President, the concept behind CAPAs deserves our wholehearted support. But the second bill before us, the National Junkanoo Authority Bill, raises a different set of questions. Junkanoo is not something that was created by policy, by institutions, or by government. Junkanoo was born in the communities of this country. It is shaped by generations of Bahamians who carried the tradition forward long before there were ministries, authorities, or formal structures surrounding it. That is why we must approach this legislation with care. Mr. Vice President, there's a real concern that this bill reflects an approach that is less about strengthening Junkanoo and more about satisfying the interests of a small group of stakeholders. Junkanoo was born out of a resistance to slavery. It reflects the strength, the pride, and the independence of the Bahamian spirit. It springs from the very essence of our people. Junkanoo is bigger than any one group, any one organization, or any one administration. It belongs to the artists, the musicians, the craftsmen, the dancers, and the communities across this country who have built it generation after generation. It is a national cultural inheritance that belongs to the Bahamian people. Legislation about Junkanoo must be driven by the interests of the culture itself and not the interests of a few voices that happen to be closest to power. Mr. Vice President, I speak on this not only as a senator, but as someone who is a Junkanoo myself. I is a Saxon. I come out of the shack behind Island Gases. They welcomed me with open arms and have not only been a safe space, but one of my most favorite spaces. I understand the work, the sacrifice, and the pride that goes into stepping onto Bay Street. And anyone who has ever spent the night into the early morning in a Junkanoo shack knows that Junkanoo is not built in boardrooms or ministries. It is built in the shacks, late nights, early mornings, cutting cardboard, pasting crepe paper, looking for shares, the double laser, or the glue sticks, discussing everything and yet nothing at all, and pushing through exhaustion because the goal is simple, to bring something beautiful to Bay Street. That is the spirit what built Junkanoo. And that spirit must remain at the center of any law that we pass about it. Mr. Vice President, that is why so many Bahamians were deeply troubled by what unfolded last year between the government and the Junkanoo Corporation of New Providence. Instead of unity around our national cultural celebration, what the country witnessed was a public conflict that disrupted the spirit of Junkanoo. For many Junkanoos, it felt as though the culture itself was being dragged into a very public dispute within one group. And when the government becomes entangled in internal disputes within Junkanoo groups, the culture itself risks becoming collateral damage. Those of us who followed the events last season know that the conversation around Junkanoo should have never been about disputes, divisions, or competing claims. It should have been about celebrating and honoring the thousands of Bahamians, young and not so young, who pour their hearts, their time, and resources into this magnificent celebration of our culture. Mr. Vice President, if we're going to establish a national Junkanoo authority, then several principles must guide us. First, the authority must be made up of real Junkanoo people from across the Bahamas, bringing meaningful representation. Inclusion matters. Junkanoo does not only belong to New Providence, it lives in Grand Bahama, Abaco, Eleuthera, Bimini, Cat Island, the Exumas, and throughout the Family Islands. Second, the authority should fully fund national parades. Every year, Junkanoo groups struggle to find sponsorship simply to participate. If we truly believe that Junkanoo is our premier cultural festival and one of the most powerful expressions of our Bahamian identity, then funding the national parades must be a national responsibility. Groups should not have to beg for sponsorship just to bring their art to Bay Street. Third, the existing parade bodies should continue to manage the parades they know best. The Junkanoo Corporation of New Providence has managed the New Providence parades for many years. The Grand Bahama Junkanoo Corporation has managed the Freeport Parade. And Mr. Vice President, the irony is very difficult to ignore because it was a PLP government that agreed that Junkanoo groups should manage their own parade. And now, another PLP government is attempting to remove that authority from them. Those organizations have experience and institutional knowledge that should not simply be discarded. The authority should provide national coordination, standards, and funding support, not replace the people who have been doing the work. Fourth, appointments must be transparent and open. The public should know who is being appointed, why they were chosen, and what experience they bring. The current bill provides for appointments to be gazetted, but concerns remain because the authority's membership is still minister appointed. The process must be transparent and protected from political interference. Transparency matters. Junkanoo should be part of the school system, not an after-school activity. We should teach costume building because it incorporates the laws of physics, design, and engineering. Junkanoo is not a parade. It is history, science, music, art, discipline, craftsmanship, and national identity. Young Bahamians should grow up understanding the meaning and history of Junkanoo as part of their cultural heritage. And finally, Mr. Vice President, the law must protect Junkanoo from politics. No administration, PLP, FNM, or anyone else should ever attempt to use Junkanoo for political control. The strongest voices in the future of Junkanoo must always be the artists, the musicians, the group leaders, and the cultural stakeholders who live the culture every day. The authority should support Junkanoo, not control it. This bill gives the proposed authority broad powers over funding, operation, committees, judging, and the management of groups. Because of that, it is essential that any Junkanoo-related legislation clearly protects the independence of Junkanoo and limits political outreach. So the message is simple. Keep politics out of Junkanoo, fund it fully, let the artists lead, let the groups be heard, and build an authority that serves Junkanoo, not one that attempts to control it. Junkanoo survived slavery, colonialism, and every hardship this country has faced. It can certainly survive politics, but it should never have to fight the government. And to every Junkanoo across this country, from the largest groups, the individual costumes, the fun groups, and everyone in between, our culture belongs to us, and the Parliament must respect that. And Mr. Vice President, with those brief words, I take my seat. May God continue to bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
As many the chair recognizes Senator the Honorable Dr. Recia Hepburn Forbes.
Mr. Vice President, please permit me to express my deepest condolences, as I did not speak yesterday, to Senator Halkitis on the passing of his mother and mother-in-law. We pray God's peace and strength as him and his family deal with their passing. I'd also like to express condolences to the family of Mr. Philip Turner, formerly Family Island Commissioner and former Superintendent of Police and Senior Public Officer. And finally, I'd like to express condolences to Senator Ronald Duncombe on the passing of his sister, Patricia Demerit. May all those rest in peace and rise in glory. Mr. Vice President, I would also like to welcome Ms. Nicole Martin to this august body, another focused female to keep the men in check. And administrative members of CAPAS and the Orange Economy, in particular the Junkanoo goddess, who is also the Queen Mother of Ahanta. Mr. Vice President, now to the matters of hand. I rose today to speak on the Junkanoo Authority Bill first. As this legislation goes beyond governance and regulation, this bill is about identity. It is a cultural covenant, a legislative framework designed to safeguard, elevate, and modernize Junkanoo, the heartbeat of the Bahamian identity. This bill is about preserving, protecting, and strengthening one of the most vibrant and meaningful expressions of who we are as a people. To my Junkanooers, of which I will only name a few, Ms. Angelique McKay, Director of the Orange Economy, and Mr. Rick Albury, who are Warhawks. To my co-workers, Dr. Jason Stiles from Platinum Knights, and Dr. Anastasia Brown, Ashley and Elton Cooper of the Valley 1 and 2. To Mr. Eric Hepburn, Ms. Nesbitt, and Mr. Freddie McKay of the Saxons. And last, but definitely not least, to Mr. James Fraser, Omar Buchanan, and Levon Arnett from the best Junkanoo group on the planet, One Family. Yes. That'll bang you on the No, these are facts. Mr. Vice President, most Bahamians have a Junkanoo origin story, just like superheroes in the movie, where they know when they transformed into a Junkanoo. Mine originated when my dad took me and several of my cousins to Bay at around 5 years old and let me shake my cowbells and my little dance, and we just jump in a line with a group and had a wonderful time. And Thus, to this day, I mainly only participate in fun groups where I get to ensure that my international colleagues can come and participate so that they can have their own origin story. So therefore, it is with great pride I speak to the National Junkanoo Authority bill, because all of us are Junkanoo. Mr. Vice President, this bill is a declaration of collective commitment to safeguarding while elevating with pride the heartbeat of Bahamian culture. For generations, Junkanoo has been more than a parade. It's a living expression of our history, resilience, and creativity. Yet as our nation grows and evolves, so too must the structures that protect and promote the treasured tradition. The bill before us establishes the National Junkanoo Authority, a body designed to ensure that Junkanoo thrives not only as a cultural festival, but also as a driver of economic opportunity, tourism, and national pride. Culture is the heartbeat of a people. Nowhere is that more evident than in Junkanoo. It is our rhythm, our resilience, our identity woven through generations and carried proudly in every parade. Mr. Vice President, I will say this again. Junkanoo is not merely a festival. It is history in motion. It is the echo of our ancestors' resilience, creativity, and spirit. Through the beat of the goatskin drums, the shimmer of handcraft costumes, and the energy of the people in our streets, Junkanoo tells the story of the Bahamas, past, present, and future. It crosses religions, politics, and economic divides in our country. As a member of the Cacique Award-winning Junkanoo Commandos, I understand how exposing our culture internationally is a benefit not only to artisans, but the country at large. It is often stated that if we do not protect and organize our cultural industries, we risk losing control of them. This bill answers that call. It ensures that Junkanoo remains in the hands of Bahamians, guided by a structure that promotes fairness, accountability, and sustainability. As with cultural treasure, Junkanoo faces challenges. Issues of organization, funding, intellectual property, more disability involvement, and fair participation have grown over time. Without a unified structure, we risk fragmentation, inconsistency, and even the gradual erosion of standards that have made Junkanoo world-renowned. The benefits of this legislation are clear and far-reaching. First, it brings order and consistency. For far too long, Junkanoo groups and organizers have first faced uncertainty in funding, rules, and judging standards. As was expressed in debate in that other place, our people deserve a system that's transparent and equitable. The proposed authority will create a system, one that ensures all participants are treated fairly and that decisions are made with clarity and integrity. This bill mandates record keeping, documentation of validation activities, and transparent reporting. This is not bureaucracy for its own sake. It is the foundation of credibility. Junkanoo has been misunderstood or undervalued outside our shores. By institutionalized accountability, we elevate to the level of recognized cultural institutions worldwide. This ensures that when we represent Junkanoo to the world, we do so with pride. Second, it strengthens economic opportunities. Junkanoo is not only culture, it is commerce. From costume designers to musicians, from vendors to tourism operators, countless Bahamians depend on its success. As highlighted, Junkanoo, properly managed, can be one of our greatest economic engines. With a dedicated authority, we can better market our festivals internationally, attract the investment that we heard that is so badly needed, and expand opportunities for creative entrepreneurs. The authority will be responsible for updating policies and procedures to reflect evolving needs. This ensures that Junkanoo remains dynamic, responsive, and relevant. Third, It invests in our youth and future generations. Several persons have emphasized that we must create pathways for young Bahamians to see culture as a viable future. This bill does exactly that. It formalized training, mentorship, and educational programs, ensuring that the skills and traditions of Junkanoo are passed down, refined, and reimagined. Culture is not static. Change must come. Junkanoo must adapt to new generations, technologies, and global audiences. Yet, adoption must be guided by principles and protect authenticity. This section of the bill ensures that Junkanoo grows without losing its essence. And fourth, it protects the integrity of Junkanoo. Without oversight, there's always a risk of dilution, of losing the authenticity that makes Junkanoo uniquely Bahamian. We are not just preserving our event, we are preserving a legacy. The authority will safeguard that legacy, and while allowing for innovation and growth, the establishment of the Junkanoo Authority will provide a centralized, transparent, and accountable body to oversee the development. It will create clear guidelines for parade organization, ensure equitable distribution of resources, and support the groups and individuals who dedicate countless hours to their craft. It opens the door for greater investment in cultural education. It ensures that future generations are not just spectators, but active participants. It formalized pathways for young Bahamians. And finally, the authority will play a critical role in promoting Junkanoo on the global stage. Cultural tourism is a powerful economic driver, and with proper management, Junkanoo can continue to attract visitors from around the world while maintaining its authenticity and integrity. Of course, let's acknowledge some concerns. Some fear overregulation, loss of grassroots control, or bureaucratic inefficiencies. These concerns are clearly addressed in this bill through careful implementation, ongoing consultation, and a commitment to inclusivity. It is being wisely stated here. Good governance is not about control, it is about collaboration. The success of this authority depends on its ability to listen, include, and serve the people who will make Junkanoo what it is. One thing that Senator Ellis stated that I agree with, Junkanoo is not about one person or one group. Junkanooers are in every profession, as stated earlier, and this authority will ensure that those individuals sit around the table. Therefore, this bill is not about taking ownership of Junkanoo away from the people. It is about protecting it for the people. It is about giving the structure that is needed to thrive in a modern competitive world. The authority must and will serve the people and not control them. The authority is about ensuring that the passion, pride, and cultural significance of Junkanoo endures for generations to come. Mr. Vice President, colleagues, and citizens, the National Junkanoo Authority is more than legislation. It is a pledge that Junkanoo will be preserved, celebrated, and elevated. A pledge that our children and grandchildren will inherit not only the rhythms of goatskin drums and the brilliance of our costume, but also the structure to sustain them. Let us remember, Junkanoo is not simply entertainment. It is the soul of the Bahamas. It is our story told in color, sound, and movement. By the passing of this bill, we affirm that Junkanoo is a national asset, deserving the same respect and protection as any institution of state. I urge all members, all stakeholders, all Junkanooers to embrace this vision. Together, let us ensure that Junkanoo continues to inspire, unite, and uplift the Bahamian people for generations to come. As I stated before, Junkanoo is more than a parade. It is a living archive of our history, born from resilience and creativity. Let us not miss this opportunity. Let us remember that Junkanoo has carried us through history, and now it is our responsibility to carry it forward with intention, care, and vision. Mr. Vice President, allow me to speak very briefly on the Creative and Performing Arts School of the Bahamas bill. This major piece of cultural and educational legislation creates a legal foundation for establishing, governing, and funding CAPAS. One thing we have to admit, though, is that this administration actually focuses on culture. We don't talk about it, we are about it. Today, we stand at the intersection of imagination and opportunity. We gather not just to discuss education, but to reimagine it, to reshape it into something that truly reflects the brilliance, culture, and untapped potential within our nation. That vision finds its embodiment in CAPAS. CAPAS is more than a program, it is a movement. For the creative students, CAPAS is life-changing. It provides structure to talent, direction to passion, and opportunity to ambition. It tells every young person that you, with your songs, with your sketches, with your dreams, that your gift matters. That creativity is not a distraction from a success, but a pathway to it. Who knows? Maybe Senator Major would have been singing now instead of the legal work. Through a singing lawyer. Well, we have a singing bishop, so you can be a singing lawyer. Yeah. But the impact of CAPAS goes far beyond individual student. It strengthens the entire educational system. It introduces diversity into learning because not every mind learns the same way. By embracing creative education, ensuring that persons who are differently and capably able are included, creating more inclusive classrooms where different intelligences are recognized and nurtured, this leads to higher engagement, improved performance, and a deeper love for learning. CAPAS also plays a role in national development. The creative industries are among the fastest growing sectors in the global economy. Film, music, fashion, digital media, these are not hobbies. These are powerful economic drivers. By investing in creative education, we are investing in new industries, new jobs, and new opportunities. Imagine a generation of students who are not only academically capable, but creatively fearless. Imagine schools that produce not just graduates, but innovators. Imagine a Bahamas that is not only known for its beauty, but its brilliance. That is the promise of CAPAS. But programs do not succeed on vision alone. They succeed because people believe in them, because educators commit to them, because communities support them, and because students embrace them. So today, I challenge you, whether it's a master class or not, whether you are a teacher, a policymaker, a parent, or a student, to believe in creativity, invest in it, advocate for it, because when we empower creative minds, we do more than challenge individual lives. We transform our nation. Mr. Vice President, may God bless the Senate, and may God bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. As many, the chair recognizes Senator Barry Griffin Jr.
Okay. You can tell who know you're from before. I smile when people say that. Okay. Madam Chair, before I begin, I would like to take a moment to extend my congratulations to Senator Nicole Martin on her swearing into this honorable chamber today. Senator Martin brings with her a wealth of experience as a trade union leader and a public servant. This chamber carries with it a profound responsibility to debate, to legislate, and to represent the hopes and concerns of the Bahamian people. It is noble work that demands both conviction and humility. I am confident that Senator Martin will approach this role with the same passion, diligence, and commitment that has defined her career thus far. Congratulations and welcome, Senator. Madam President, before I begin formally, I would also like to have a few moments to acknowledge two recent cultural events in our country, which I believe deserve recognition in this chamber. Those events remind us that the arts in the Bahamas are not theoretical ideas discussed only in policy documents or legislation. They are living, breathing expressions of talent, discipline, creativity, and excellence taking place within our communities every day. The first event I would like to recognize is the spectacular ballet production, Iconique, presented by the Covent Garden Dance Company, a London-based international ballet dance theater under the patronage of First Lady of the Bahamas, Mrs. Anne-Marie Davis, and in association with the British High Commission. The performances were held at the Island House, and they brought together some of the world's most accomplished ballet dancers, including from institutions such as the Royal Ballet, the English National Ballet, and the New York City Ballet. Bahamian performers were also featured throughout the production, such as the renowned Courtney Spears. Madam Chair. Madam Chair, this was truly a world-class cultural event hosted here in the Bahamas. I had the privilege of attending the performance on the second evening, and I wish to extend special thanks to Matt and Shanyon Coda, who kindly invited me to attend as their guests. Matt and Shanyon are residents of the Bahamas who have been generous supporters of the arts, and they were among the benefactors whose support helped to make it possible for the Covent Garden Dance Company to return to the Bahamas once again. I had the opportunity to attend the production last year, and I must say, this year's performance was even more spectacular. And what made this year's event particularly meaningful, Madam Chair, was the inclusion of a special segment featuring young Bahamian ballet dancers drawn from dance schools across the country. These young dancers joined the international dancers on stage and delivered a performance that was seamless, graceful, and deeply impressive. It was a proud moment for me to see young Bahamian talent sharing a stage with some of the world's finest ballet artists. I would also like to recognize First Lady Anne-Marie Davis, as she was the patron of the event and for her support of the arts and the orange economy. The second event I would like to recognize is a remarkable musical performance by Bahamian pianist Dion Cunningham, who recently presented his solo piano debut concert titled Passion, Peace, and Play. Dion plays Schumann, and that happened at Christ Community Church. So Dion is an exceptionally talented classical pianist whose work has earned him recognition both locally and internationally. And his performance that evening was nothing short of world class. It also featured special guest performances by Shanae Kemp, a Bahamian mezzo-soprano opera singer, who has now returned to the Bahamas for a few years simply to give back. She lives in the United States. So Dion also leads an initiative called Adventure in the Arts, which is a nonprofit that brings interactive musical performances to schools and to students. And once again, Mrs. Anne-Marie Davis served as patron of that event, and she continues to show her advocacy for Bahamian culture and the creativity of Bahamians. So, Madam Chair, these events remind us that Bahamian artists are capable of producing work that is not only culturally meaningful, but world-class and internationally competitive. These events provide new and enriching cultural experience for our people. They bring together families, and they introduce new audiences to artistic expression. And they create opportunities for Bahamian artists to grow and thrive. Now, Madam President, Madam Chair, those reflections now lead me directly into the subject of my contribution today. Every nation tells its story in different ways. Some tell it through monuments of stone, some through great works of literature, and some through the pages of history books. But here in the Bahamas, our story has always been told in rhythm, in color, and in movement. It is told in the thunder of the goatskin drums on Bay Street. It is told in the shimmering brilliance of crepe paper and cardboard transformed into works of art. It is told in the voices of our storytellers, our playwrights, our musicians, our dancers, and our cultural innovators who carry forward the spirit of a people who refuse to be silent. For generations, Bahamian artists have done something extraordinary. They have taken the experiences of our ancestors, the struggles, the triumphs, the hope, and turned them into culture. They turned resistance into Junkanoo. They turned memory into music. They turned identity into art. And in doing so, they reminded us of who we are. Because artists play a special role in every society, they remind a nation of its beauty when the world only sees its challenges. They remind a people of their strength when doubt creeps in. And they remind those who hold power that the true wealth of a nation is not only found in its banks or its buildings, but in the imagination and creativity of its people. And that is why the bills before us today matter. The Creative and Performing Arts School of the Bahamas, CAPAS, and the National Junkanoo Authority represent something larger than legislation. They represent a national decision to recognize creativity, not only as culture, but as opportunity, as industry, and as economic power. Madam Chair, across the world today, there's a growing recognition of what economists call the orange economy, an economy powered by ideas, creativity, culture, and intellectual property. Globally, the creative industries generate hundreds of billions of dollars in economic value every year. Film, music, design, fashion, digital media, live performance. These industries are shaping the future of modern economies. And in the Bahamas, creativity has always been one of our most abundant resources. Long before the language of the creative economy entered global policy discussions, Bahamians were already living it. We took cardboard and crepe paper and turned it into masterpieces. We took rhythm and turned it into community. We took culture and turned it into a celebration. But as Minister Mario Boleg rightly pointed out in the House, creativity alone is not enough. Creativity must be supported by institutions, education, and policy if it is to become a true engine of economic growth. That is what these bills represent. Madam Chair, for decades, Bahamians with extraordinary artistic talent had only two options: develop their craft informally or leave the country to receive professional training. CAPAS changes that reality. The Creative and Performing Arts School of the Bahamas is designed to provide professional training in acting, music, dance, filmmaking, stage production, storytelling, and design. It is a conservatory-style institution built to prepare Bahamian creatives to compete in the global marketplace. It will train performers, it will train writers, it will train directors, it will train the technical professionals, the lighting designers, costume makers, sound engineers, production managers who make creative industries possible. And importantly, CAPAS will not only train talent, it will develop human capital, intellectual property, and export potential for Bahamian cultural industries. This is about creating a pipeline of Bahamian creative professionals who can earn a good living from their craft. Because talent alone is only the beginning. Talent must be refined with discipline, with education, and importantly, with opportunity. Madam President, Madam Chair, Junkanoo is one of the most powerful cultural expressions of the Bahamian people. It is the sound of goatskin drums echoing through our history. It is a celebration born out of struggle, resilience, and joy. It is a mirror of who we are: resourceful, resilient, creative. And yet, for many decades, the organization of Junkanoo relied largely on volunteerism and seasonal structures. But Junkanoo today intersects with tourism, intellectual property, international cultural diplomacy, youth development, and economic opportunity. It involves thousands of participants. It attracts great international attention, and it carries the cultural representation of the Bahamas around the world. Goodwill alone is no longer enough. Structure is required. That is why the establishment of the National Junkanoo Authority is so important. It will ensure that Junkanoo is properly governed, protected, promoted, and positioned as a viable cultural industry for generations to come. Madam President, Junkanoo is not just 2 days on Bay Street. For Junkanoo artists, it's a 365 days of creativity, design, engineering, music, choreography, and craftsmanship. Junkanoo artists are not just rushers. They are designers, they are musicians, they are sculptors, they are storytellers, and increasingly, they are ambassadors of Bahamian culture around the world. Through initiatives such as the International Junkanoo Exchanges and Partnerships, Bahamian artists are already building cultural bridges across continents. About 3 years ago, I had the experience of going to Ghana on a trade mission, and interestingly enough, it intersected with a Bahamian Junkanoo group also being in Ghana and meeting the folks who do John Canoe in western region of Ghana where Junkanoo originated. Our Bahamian Junkanooers are true ambassadors for the Bahamas. With the support of the Junkanoo Authority, those opportunities can grow even further because the world already consumes creativity every day. The question for the Bahamas is simple. Will we remain only consumers of global culture, or will we become exporters of Bahamian creativity to the world? Madam Chair, I do not stand here today claiming to be a creative. I am not a musician. I am not a dancer. After a couple of drinks, I might be. I'm not a playwright or a performer, but I stand here as someone who deeply understands the value of the arts, who appreciates the arts, and who firmly supports the arts. Because the arts are not reserved for those who create them. They are experienced, enjoyed, and carried in the memories of all of us. Some of my most vivid life experiences have come through exposure to the arts. I had the privilege of living and studying in London, one of the great cultural capitals of the world. And during that time, I immersed myself in its creative life. I would find myself in the West End and Covent Garden, sometimes weekly, sometimes multiple times a week, watching world-class productions like The Lion King and The Phantom of the Opera. I attended music festivals in Finsbury Park. I witnessed street performers at midnight at King's Cross Station, where music, theater, and expression spilled out into public spaces and brought life to the city. And what struck me, Madam Chair, is that these experiences were not reserved for the select few. They were woven into the fabric of everyday life. They enriched the experience of living in that city. They gave people something to see, something to feel, something to connect with. And I often reflect on that and say to myself, why not here? Why can we not have weekly performances right here in Roston Square?
Yes.
Why can we not have regular live productions at the new Omni Theater at the Nassau Cruise Port, led by Bahamian talent, showcasing Bahamian stories to both residents and visitors alike? There is no reason why we can't, because the talent exists, the creativity exists, the demand exists. What is required is the structure, the support, and the vision to make it happen. Madam Chair, some of my earliest memories as a child are rooted in Junkanoo. My father was a police officer, and during those days, when he worked in the fire branch, I had what I still consider to be the best seat in the house. While many enjoyed Junkanoo from Roston Square, I remember standing as a young boy atop of the fire engine, parked right here on Bank Lane, watching the parade unfold in all its color, energy, and brilliance. Those moments stayed with me. They shaped my appreciation of culture. They connected me to something larger than myself. And now, as an adult, as an attorney, as a businessman, and as someone engaged in international trade, I see the arts through an additional lens. I see the economic potential of the creative industries. I see the many avenues through which Bahamian creatives can monetize their talent. I see the opportunity for the Bahamas to be known not only for its natural resources, but for its human creativity, its cultural exports, and its artistic excellence. Madam Chair, look at this Junkanoo headpiece. This is not just decoration. This is art. This is not just tradition. This is culture. This here is the product of imagination, discipline, craftsmanship, and identity. And let us be very clear. This piece could be displayed in a gallery in London, sold in a showroom in New York, or exhibited in a museum anywhere in the world. Because this is not local in value, this is global in standard. The question is not whether Bahamian creativity can compete on the world stage. The question is whether we will build the systems to allow it to. Now, Madam Chair, there's been some suggestion by some that the establishment of the Junkanoo Authority is designed to benefit a small group of stakeholders rather than to strengthen the craft and the industry as a whole. I respectfully disagree. The very purpose of institutionalizing Junkanoo is to ensure that it is protected, preserved, and properly developed for the benefit of all Bahamians, both now and for generations to come. Around the world, serious nations do not leave their cultural assets to chance. They institutionalize them. In France, for example, the government actively regulates and protects elements of its culture, from language through the Académie Française, to food through strict designation systems as appellation d'origine, which safeguards the authenticity and value of French products globally. In Italy, regional food traditions and artisanal crafts are protected under geographical indication regimes, ensuring both quality and economic return to Italy. In Spain, flamenco, once a purely cultural expression like Junkanoo, has been formally recognized, structured, and promoted internationally as both heritage and industry. And across Europe, haute couture is not left to chance. It is protected, branded, and strategically positioned as a global export. These examples demonstrate a simple truth. Culture must be structured if it is to be sustained and monetized. And Madam Chair, let us also be clear about the composition of the Junkanoo Authority. The bill explicitly ensures that Junkanoo remains in the hands of those who live and breathe it. It provides for representation from organized Junkanoo bodies in New Providence, Grand Bahama, and other recognized Junkanoo corporations, along with persons directly involved in Junkanoo music and the wider creative process. This is not an authority removed from Junkanoo, it is an authority rooted in Junkanoo. As it relates to transparency, the appointments to this authority will be gazetted, as is standard with all statutory boards, ensuring that the Bahamian public can clearly see who has been entrusted with its responsibility. And importantly, Madam Chair, this authority is designed to be independent. It is not intended to be political. It is structured to separate policy from operations, to ensure accountability without interference, and to place Junkanoo where it belongs, at the center of our culture, our identity, and increasingly our economic future. Because if we are serious about Junkanoo, if we truly believe in its value, then we must move beyond sentiment and move into structure. Now, Madam Chair, again, I do not claim in any way to be a creative. I stand here as a strong advocate for those who are. I stand here in full support of these bills, and I stand here ready to contribute to a broader conversation, not only about nurturing creative talent, but about building creative industries into a true pillar of our national economy. Madam Chair, with that as a backdrop, allow me at this moment to make an important announcement on behalf of the Bahamas Trade Commission. I am pleased to inform this honorable chamber that Cabinet has approved the consultative document for the development of the Bahamas' first national export strategy. Madam Chair, this approval now allows us to begin nationwide and international consultations with the private sector, creative industries, professional services sectors, entrepreneurs across the country, and international stakeholders. This historic initiative will also be supported by grant funding from the Inter-American Development Bank, ensuring that this strategy is backed not only by vision, but by resources. For the first time in our history, the Bahamas will develop one comprehensive national document outlining our export priorities, the industries we intend to promote internationally, the sectors we will focus investment and research, and the markets we will direct trade missions and partnerships to. And Madam Chair, services exports will be a major focus. Our lawyers already export legal services. Our bankers export financial expertise. Our architects and engineers have built some of the most sophisticated developments found anywhere in the Caribbean. So we think it's time to support them to take their talents outside of the Bahamas and across the world. And similarly, we must now also recognize the export potential of our creative industries. Our musicians, our filmmakers, our designers, our storytellers. The next chapter of Bahamian exports will include not only goods and professional services, it will include Bahamian creativity. So, Madam Chair, we hope to fully engage the creative community, CAPUS, the Orange Economy Unit, to forge an economic strategy that focuses on the export of Bahamian talent for our benefit. Madam Chair, now the Progressive Liberal Party government has made it clear that the creative industries are not an afterthought. They are part of our economic future. Under this administration, Junkanoo has been recognized internationally as part of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity, acknowledging its profound cultural importance to the Bahamian people. The Orange Economy Unit has been established within the Ministry of Economic Affairs under the leadership of Angelique Swan to support the development of creative industries. Programs such as Junkanoo Costume Buyback Initiative have been implemented to support Junkanoo artists. And now, through the Junkanoo Authority and CAPUS, we are building the institutional framework for the creative economy. This government is not just talking about creative industries. We are building the infrastructure to support them. Madam Chair, from time to time, we hear voices who proudly describe themselves as creatives. They call themselves playwrights, comedians, artists. And yet, in all the years they have held positions of key political leadership, we have not seen a comprehensive plan to advance the creative industries of this country. Supporting the creative economy cannot simply be about adopting the label of being a creative. It must be about doing the work to build institutions, the policies, and the opportunities that allow creatives to thrive. The Progressive Liberal Party made a commitment in our Blueprint for Change to elevate culture and support the creative industries. Today, through CAPUS and the Junkanoo Authority, we are delivering on that promise. We do not rely on slogans, we rely on action. Madam Chair, as we look toward the future of our country, we must ask ourselves one question: what kind of nation do we want to be? Do we want to be a nation that simply consumes culture created somewhere else? Or do we want to be a nation that boldly celebrates, develops, and exports the brilliance that already lives within our people? So this afternoon, I make a call to the private sector: invest in Bahamian creativity. Let Bahamian art shape your branding. Let Bahamian music fill your spaces. Let Bahamian storytellers help tell the story of your company, your products, and your services. To teachers and parents, support the young Bahamian who sings, who dances, who writes, who dreams in color. Those talents are not distractions from success. They are pathways to it. And those of us in government and leadership, we must remember that supporting the creative industries is not simply cultural policy. It is economic policy. Because when we invest in our creatives, we invest in our identity. When we support our artists, we strengthen our culture. And when we empower our storytellers, we ensure that the Bahamian story will be told by Bahamian voices. Let us support our artists. Let us empower our creatives. Let us build institutions that elevate the cultural treasures of our nation. And let us never forget this simple truth: a nation that believes in its artists is a nation that believes in its own soul. Madam Chair, this administration supports our creatives. We empower our creatives, and we are building the institutions to elevate our national creative capacity. We are doing this because we know that when we as Bahamians truly believe in the power of our own creativity, there will be no limit to the culture the prosperity, and the brilliance that we share with the world. And that's progress. Madam Chair, it is my esteemed honor to support the bills before us. 242 to the world. Thank you. I ain't got no names. I ain't got. I had to address. As many? The chair recognizes Senator the Honorable Michael Halkitis.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President. Seeing we have unanimous support for the bills, I will just now formally move for a second reading and committal of a bill for an act to provide for the establishment, governance, and administration of the Creative and Performing Arts School of the Bahamas and for connected purposes.
It has been moved and seconded that the following bill be read a second time and committed. A bill for an act to provide for the establishment, governance, and administration of the Creative and Performing Arts School of the Bahamas and for connected purposes. As many are in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those who are opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. The motion is carried. Ordered that the bill be read a second time and committed.
A bill for an act to provide for the establishment, governance, and administration of the Creative and Performing Arts School of the Bahamas and for connected purposes.
Further second reading of bills?
Yes, Mr. Vice President, I move for second reading and committal of a bill for an act to establish the Junkanoo Authority of the Bahamas to govern, regulate, manage, promote, and develop Junkanoo as a national cultural heritage and for connected purposes.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the following bill be read a second time and committed. A bill for an act to establish the Junkanoo Authority of the Bahamas to govern, regulate, manage, promote, and develop Junkanoo as a national cultural heritage and for connected purposes. As many are in favor, say aye. Aye. Those who are opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. The motion is carried. Ordered that the bill be read a second time and committed.
A bill for an act to establish the Junkanoo Authority of the Bahamas to govern, regulate, manage, promote, and develop Junkanoo as a national cultural heritage and for connected purposes.
Further second reading of bills?
And none, Mr. Vice President.
If there are no further second reading, Committee of the Whole?
Mr. Vice President, I move that the Senate do now resolve itself into a committee of the whole with Senator Eurecia Hepburn Forbes in the chair.
Is there a seconder? It has been moved and seconded that the Senate do now resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole with Senator Eurecia Hepburn Forbes in the chair. As many are in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those who oppose, say nay. The motion is carried. The Senate will now resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole with Senator Eurecia Hepburn in the chair.
Committee of the Whole.
Madam Chairman, respect to a bill for an act to provide for the establishment, governance, and administration of the Creative and Performing Arts School of the Bahamas and for connected purposes, I move that the long title of the bill be agreed.
It has been moved and seconded that the long title of the bill be agreed. As many are in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those who oppose, say nay. The motion is agreed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that the short title of the bill be agreed.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the short title of the bill be agreed. As many are in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those who oppose, say nay. The motion is agreed. The short title is agreed.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I now move that clauses 2 through 26 of the bill be agreed.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that clauses 2 through 26 of the bill be agreed. As many are in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those who oppose, say nay. The motion is agreed. The motion is carried. Clauses 2 through 26.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I now move that the bill be agreed in its entirety, inclusive of the schedule.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the bill in its entirety, inclusive of the schedule, be agreed. As many are in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those who oppose, say nay. The motion is carried. It has been moved and seconded that the bill in, yep. Was it, I said that. I'll say it again. It has been moved and seconded that the bill in its entirety be agreed. As many are in favor, say aye. Okay. The bill is being agreed in its entirety.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Madam Chair, I now move to a bill for an act to establish the Junkanoo Authority of the Bahamas to govern, regulate, manage, promote, and develop Junkanoo as a national cultural heritage and for connected purposes. And I move that the long title of the bill be agreed.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the long title of the bill be agreed. As many are in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those who oppose, say nay. The motion is agreed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that the short title of the bill be agreed.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the short title of the bill be agreed. As many are in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those who oppose, say nay. The motion is agreed. The short title is agreed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I now move that clauses 2 through 33 of the bill be agreed.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that clauses 2 through 33 of the bill be agreed. As many are in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those who oppose, say nay. The motion is agreed. Clauses 2 through 33 of the bill is agreed.
Thank you, Madam. No, I won't do that.
You're not doing it.
No, I'm not. Thank you, Madam Chair. I now move that the bill be agreed in its entirety.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the bill in its entirety be agreed. As many are in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those who oppose, say nay. The motion is agreed. The bill is agreed in its entirety.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I now move that the Vice President do now take the chair.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that Mr. Vice President now take the chair. As many are in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those who oppose, say nay. The motion is carried. Mr. Vice President will now take the chair.
Yeah, Madam Chair, you have to report that the committee examined the bill.
Mr. Vice President, I beg to leave to report that the Committee of the Whole has examined the bill, having made no amendments thereto.
Third reading and passing of bills.
Mr. Vice President, I move for third reading and passing of a bill for an act to provide for the establishment, governance, and administration of the Creative and Performing Arts School of the Bahamas and for connected purposes.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the following bill be read a third time and passed. As many are in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those who are opposed, say nay. The motion is carried. Ordered that the bill be read a third time and passed.
A bill for an act to provide for the establishment, governance, and administration of the Creative and Performing Arts School of the Bahamas and for connected purposes.
Ordered that this bill do now pass and the title thereof declared to be Creative and Performing Arts School of the Bahamas Act 2026. Further third reading of bills.
You, Mr. Vice President, I move for third reading and passing of a bill for an act to establish the Junkanoo Authority of the Bahamas to govern, regulate, manage, promote, and develop Junkanoo as a national cultural heritage and for connected purposes.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the following bill be read a third time and passed. As many are in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those who are opposed, say nay. The motion is carried. Order that the bill be read a third time and passed.
A bill for an act to establish the Junkanoo Authority of the Bahamas to govern, regulate, manage, promote, and develop Junkanoo as a national cultural heritage and for connected purposes.
Ordered that this bill do now pass and the title thereof declared to be the National Junkanoo Authority of the Bahamas, Willis George Bethel and William Wallace Act 2026. Further third reading of bills.
They're done, Mr. Vice President.
Consideration of House amendments. Resolutions. Discharge of select committees. Notices for future meetings.
Vice President, I would renew all notices in the name of the government.
Orders for clerk. Adjournment.
Mr. Vice President, I move that the Senate, at its rising, do adjourn sine die, but I would indicate to senators that it is likely that we will meet again on Thursday, the 26th, following the House dealing with certain matters. But I move that the Senate, at its rising, do adjourn sine die.
It has been moved and seconded that the Senate, at its rising, do adjourn sine die. As many are in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. The motion is carried. Final adjournment.
Mr. Vice President, I move that the Senate do now adjourn.
Before we move on the adjournment, on behalf of the President, Senate President Lachelle Adderley, and all of the colleagues here at the Senate table, I also want to express our sincere condolences to Senator Ronnie Duncombe on the recent passing of his sister. You have our prayers and thoughts with you. Mhm. It has been moved and seconded that the Senate do now adjourn. As many are in favor, say aye. Aye. Those who oppose, say nay. The motion is carried. The Senate stands adjourned.